I'm going to tell you about AI, optimism in nephrology, and about the hot debates at the World Congress of Nephrology in New Delhi in the era of AI. Will we still need renal pathologists? And will we still need nephrologists? And so the first part of this will be about that, and then I will tell you about other extensions of that later. And so the answer, will we still need renal pathologists and nephrologists in the long run? We will not. Within 90 years, almost everything in medicine will be automated or robotic, except the patients. And so Agnes Fogo and I, who did the renal pathology debate, we've been friends for over 40 years. And when we finished, we decided to pose in front of our favorite slide from the presentation. And so now you can ask, well, who won the debate? Did Agnes win? Did I win? No, the machine won, because you can see that we've got this beautiful interference pattern in this picture of the slide. Electronic camera taking a picture from a screen gives this an interference pattern. What that slide really looks like is this, which is really quite different. So you can see that the machine won the debate for certain. And we were talking about futuristic speculation about AI solving the organ shortage, bringing about dramatic positive improvements in human society. And where did the 90 years in the title come from? That comes from an editorial of mine from September 2024 that talks about it taking 90 years for AI to automate all of medicine. So in that completely automatic world, this is our picture of what that would look like. This idea of a completely automatic world in the hands of AI is an idea that Rich Sutton has had. He's just won the Turing Award, the highest award in computing science, equivalent to the Nobel Prize. So his opinions are worth listening to. He has the idea of an automated world optimized for human flourishing. And so there are many surprises coming, and we have to change our expectations. And so in the article, I referred to these lyrics from American Pie about unknowns and surprises. Oh, we all got up to dance. Oh, but we never got the chance because the players tried to take the field. The marching band refused to yield. Do you recall what was revealed the day the music died? Yeah, so of course it could occur more quickly than 90 years, but 90 years is sort of comfortable for you in the audience because you don't expect to be practicing 90 years from now anyway. Yeah. So how would that work then? A completely automated medical system. In many ways, it would be much better than the system today. Every aspect of the patient's care would be negotiable. They could endlessly debate things and talk to their doctors often and for as long as they wanted. Medicine would no longer be one size fits all, but very fine-tunable to each individual patient. And they would receive much more empathy. Already today in 2025, machines are more capable of empathy than humans. But machines couldn't do everything. For end-of-life care and for celebration of major successes, still need to do that with people. So there'd still be a role for interaction with people and medicine. But we would eventually cure all diseases, not just almost cure them or cure some diseases, but cure all diseases. And the thing that allows that is not massive funding for one particular platform, but it is the multiple paths, the multiple different AI models now that are all competing to make these major breakthroughs. And that guarantees that these things will happen and that these innovations and new discoveries will happen for sure. And so they're not just speculations about things that might happen. We can be pretty certain they will happen. And we think the sequence for ending the organ shortage starts with pig to human transplants and then transitions to stem cell generated organs through bioelectricity, as described by Michael Levin. And then also probably we would have completely bioengineered organs. And we would need new classifications then for all of these. So to add to the classification that Lorraine Rackison and I developed back in 1991, still going on now in 2025, we would need classifications for xenografts, for pig to human transplants, for tissue engineering, that's stem cell generated organs, and for bioartificial organs. And humility would be needed in both directions. And what do I mean by that? That a lot of these things, humans are incapable of bringing them fully to fruition. So we would have to be humble in realizing that, for instance, stem cell generated complex organs will only be possible through AI, but then AI has to be humble, realizing it's building on top of the substantial discoveries that humans had already made. So we need humility in both directions. So that's what we talked about in the debate about whether AI will replace pathologists. Now, the debate about whether AI will replace nephrologists was different in that it was all in the hands of young people. The ISN, more than half of their members are under age 45 and are members of the Young Nephrology Network, Young Nephrologists Network, with the leaders being in the Young Nephrologists Committee, with the various regions of the world represented. And yeah, it's really very exciting to hear presentations by all these people in their 20s and 30s. These are the leaders of the Young Nephrologists Network from all the different parts of the world. And yeah, they do many exciting things, produce toolkits and leaflets and run courses, yeah, and give presentations like this, yeah. And these were their ideas about what the future would look like. AI generated pictures of that. This was one where the prompt asked for cute and whimsical pictures. And there are a lot of areas in which AI can assist nephrologists in acute kidney injury and imaging and kidney transplantation and chronic kidney disease and kidney pathology and in dialysis. What about counseling patients? Yeah, so the idea here is that maybe that would be less than optimal, but I'm not so sure. In psychotherapy, it's been true for some time that many patients would rather do psychotherapy interaction with machines rather than humans. So yeah, I think over time it could become quite satisfactory, even the counseling aspects. And finally, they ended up with this pronouncement that nephrologists would not be replaced. It's not a replacement. That nephrologists who use AI responsibly will replace those who don't. But of course, in the long run, all human nephrologists will be replaced. Yeah, and so um, it it is true that all of us will be comforted by finding something that only humans can do that AI cannot do. But anything you can describe in words or formulas, AI would be able to eventually do that thing better than a human. So there's nothing that is immune from AI taking it over. Okay, so then the second half of our presentation about kidney pathology, Agnes Fogo felt we should have a humor section, and so she talked about this segment of the movie 2001 from 1968, where the protagonist says, "Open the pod bay doors, Hal." And Hal says, "I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that." So, yeah, made it seem like that's kind of a killer that um, AI can refuse instructions, but of course, humans can also refuse instructions. It's not clear that it wouldn't work in the long run. And I talked about philosophy. I think it's quite interesting that if you look about if you look at lists of philosophers of the future, which is a new branch of philosophy, a lot of them are women. And so that's really a very positive thing that we have this feminizing of philosophy of the future. And I pretended then to have a time machine where I could go ahead and visit the year 2032, show you what two friends of mine are doing at that time. So I predicted that pathologist Lynn Cornell from the Mayo Clinic now in Calgary, that she would become a well-known philosopher by 2032. And my friend Brad Ferris, a pathologist from Emory, we will, by 2032, have become a multiplanetary species. And I predicted that he would be the first renal pathologist on Mars. Yeah. Okay, so that ends the part of the presentation about the New Delhi meeting, and I'm now going on to other things, including the other thing that Brad Ferris is involved in, which is our NIH grant, which we now have a funded NIH grant. Brad Ferris, Parmjeet Randhawa, and I, and others, and the Kitware Company, BANF Aid, BANF Automated Nephrology Feature Framework, Artificial Intelligence Diagnosis. And we're in phase one of that. It's going quite well. We plan to apply for phase two in 2026. And yeah, the kidney pathologist listening to this, you could potentially join us for that phase two application. Now I want to talk about my good friend Rich Sutton. He and I have been friends since 2014 when he began teaching in my technology and future of medicine course. In January 2015, he was part of an important AI safety meeting in Puerto Rico and held unique views sort of on behalf of the machines. Quite the opposite of the other people at the meeting. And it was important to have somebody taking that stance. And later on in 2015, there's an Edmonton suburb called Strathern, and they have a Summerfest, which has spoken word poetry. And Rich and I went there and I recited technology poetry, and he commented on my poetry. And we spent a day like that in 2015. And later on, I got into AI projects myself, particularly around human cooperation. Yeah, these are more details of the award. It comes with $1 million in funding provided by Google. Very, very exciting, very good, not only for me, but for everybody else here at the University of Alberta, that Rich won this award. And you may think about the fact that kidney pathologist, kind of polymath guy, is talking to you about AI, eh? And what Rich feels very much is there are no authorities in science. And so that's an interesting idea, that you can get useful information from many different people. I guess he would argue that I am one of them. But another place that I think we need to consider is Reddit and the posts on Reddit by young people and how they're feeling in the current climate. And this is from last Monday, March 17th. The Singularity subreddit makes me depressed. Every time I read stuff about AI, it gives me the feeling that nothing I do, hobbies, studies, anything matters. AI is just going to swoop in, do it all 100 times better in a few years. It's hard to be motivated to do anything. So I wanted to encourage everybody to reflect on if this subreddit and AI in general makes them happier or more depressed. Yeah, and this conversation is still going on today, probably will go on for a lot longer. And I would like to counter this and say that this is the most exciting time to be alive in terms of AI things. The possible outcomes for humans could be very positive. And Canada is maybe the best place to be. This is the best time to start a medical career, when we are close to curing most diseases, eliminating fear, when most patients with life-threatening illness will survive and thrive, when we have the upper hand, and to beat all diseases can connive. In the past, we could benefit only a portion of the patients we see. In the future, we will help most quickly and completely. Where in the past, many diseases were deep mysteries, now we will know what we are doing and succeed almost always. We'll have a surplus of organs we can provide to the whole world. Imagine nephrology and transplantation expanding 20-fold in patients, staff, resources, and activity, a situation ideal for you and me. Myriad options within medical specialties continue to expand. Doctors with entrepreneurial skills are now much in demand. Every major advance in medicine opens new career paths galore. It can be deeply satisfying to have a medical job no one had before. All in all, it's a great, exciting time to be alive. No better time to start a medical career than 2025. Yeah, and another amusing thing is the people with skills that haven't been much valued in the past, like the skill of making videos, could be much more honored in the future, where it is believed that by the end of the decade, within the next 5 years, video will completely eclipse text communication. Text is just too slow and clunky, and video is much more quickly reactive. So that's what this poem is about. Retroactivity and video proclivity. They say video will eclipse text communication by the end of the decade. You may find yourself being praised retrospectively for some old video you did. All the details of YouTube analytics can be deployed to support your glorious video award. Audience retention, watch time, and subscriber numbers prove your worthiness for great reward. Can imagine earning woofie points from the high esteem with which your videos are appreciated, much like Cory Doctorow's 2003 Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom, in which his career was initiated. Very soon, it will be possible to measure the social and science impact of videos and which ones lead directly to high impact positive events and scenarios. Even important audio alone may lead to lavish praise and jealous looks. Fun when some wise statement of yours becomes one for the history books, as famous as Charles Dickens' opening lines of A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness, it was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. We had everything before us, we had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven, we were all going direct the other way. In short, the period was so far like the present period that some of its noisiest authorities insisted on its being received for good or for evil in the superlative degree for comparison only. There, I look for you to do better than that with your future statements. The times we live in may give you that chance at bat. And what about that baseball metaphor there at the bottom? And that is a reference to the medical student that I work most closely with, Haba Mahal, who is the captain of her baseball team, amongst many other things. For all the big ideas I have, she's able to improve absolutely every one of them since 2023. And we have jointly come up with these 3 new purposes for poetry. You can imagine over hundreds of years, there's been much written about purposes of poetry, but these are new ones. So young people maintaining an oral tradition of keeping ideas alive that really shouldn't be written down in detail. You could use poetry to avoid trigger words and to maintain the value of intellectual property for entrepreneurial pursuits by talking about things in a general way and not providing details. Yeah, so these are 3 important new purposes, and we're doing a poetry book, writing about a poem a day since Future Day, which is March 1st, 2025. And it will be out by the time of the World Transplant Congress in San Francisco in August. And yeah, so we're quite excited about that. And we have a poetry and music album already completed to go with it. It's kind of a package of a book plus an album coming out together. Now, in the past, we have kind of also a shadow cabinet or sleeper cell, whatever you want to call it, of other people who would be excited about working on our projects if things expand financially. And this is a very diverse worldwide team of young and older people. We're also very much into graphics. These are the Shida Mogi graphics. You probably recognized from the paper that Gary Agnoyan and I published in late 2024 about transplant pathology. Now, in the past, we thought that the technological singularity would be in 2045 or 2035, but now it's looking like it will be in the next few years, like by 2026, 2027. So honestly, things are moving very quickly. The impact of AI is very high and therefore becomes important to know when you're speaking with something, when you're interacting, when you're communicating, to know what you're communicating with. And so I'm quite proud to be part of a standard setting process where we have both graphics and also auditory tones to indicate whether you're dealing with a human, an AI assisted by a human, or a human assisted by an AI. So this has been accepted by the standards entity and will be worldwide, and it will be in an article that's been accepted for publication and will be out soon. Yeah, so happy about that. Also happy about our unique contribution to the idea of vascularized composite grafts and how they could be produced using stem cells and artificial intelligence plus bioelectricity. I think you'll find I'm the only person you've ever heard talking about this. I think I'm just about the only person thinking about it, but it will happen. And it's kind of fun to be in such a rarefied area where there appears to be no competition at all, no one else there. It's kind of fun to think about that. Yeah. And so back to these two people and think of what influence we should have over their daily activities. Would you say the answer is none? We shouldn't have any influence. They're doing it. They're probably the two most important scientists alive today. Rich Sutton has just won the Turing Award, and Michael Levin has been called the most important living scientist with his bioelectricity findings. And yeah, so just think about it. When you came to this lecture, were you expecting to have any work assigned to you, or are you expecting to just hear about something that has nothing to do with you? Well, I wouldn't say that's not true. It has nothing to do with you. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know how to receive discoveries from AI. It's a new thing. It hasn't quite happened yet. May happen in the next few months. Any of you could participate by using your own particular, unique interaction style. It may be just what we all need to get the ideas from AI. No one knows exactly how to do this. And it shouldn't be just the leaders, the well-known people. It really is a role because of the need for humility, as I pointed out before. We probably have more of that, should have more of that than Drs. Sutton and Levin. So there's a role for us in getting the rest of these things done. And in also sharing the idea of the optimistic future that is coming with young people. Now, these are the various levels of AI as imagined by OpenAI. Right now, we're at level 3, but as I'm indicating, very soon, maybe in the next few months, we'll be at level 4, the innovator level. And then after that, AI will create organizations or companies. And we don't know quite how the innovation is going to work. So you could play a role in that. And you can also play a role in popularizing the idea of positive outcome for humanity from these big things being done by AI. We don't have to understand it all. We won't be able to understand it, some of it, but it will still benefit us. So if we could solve the organ shortage, that would save more than 1 million lives a year, would really be medicine's finest hour. And it would be one of the 24 big challenges of the human race that we have put this list together of, which you will note contains unknown unknowns and other. So anything you suggest, we can tell you it's already there because we've got other and unknown unknowns. As far as I know, this is the only such list of all the big challenges of the human race that AI can fix. I don't quite understand why other people are not thinking about this. When we presented this at the Inventures meeting in Calgary in May of 2024, our mentor assigned to us by the meeting told us we need 24 companies to do this. And that is absolutely wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Once we figure out how to get the big discoveries from AI, that will be a common element in all 24 of these, and things will move quite quickly, and you don't need 24 companies. But if you want 24 of something, our poetry book will have at least one poem about each of these 24 entities. So I can't give you 24 companies, but I can give you 24 poems about the big challenges of the human race that AI can help us fix. Yeah, so something for you to think about. You could help us with that. It's a part of precision medicine. And it is also part of previous work that's been done on spatial transcriptomics, deep phenotyping, single cell analysis. But speaking of single cells, one thing we don't know how to do as humans is to get the right cells in the right places and decellularize, recellularize organs, but AI can solve that for us. Similarly, we don't know how to make long loops of Henle, but AI can also solve that. So this is the last slide. In our original location 34 plus years ago, with mule deer poking their heads into the meeting rooms, now soon we'll have pig organs and stem cell generated organs in the operating room. Come a long way from animal to cell. Joe Biden talked about a fair shot for everyone. I'm talking to each of you in the audience to think about what you personally can do to make this happen and to make our big ideas about fixing those 24 big challenges of the human race that AI can help us with. You could contribute to the needed breakthroughs. You could help us with setting targets. You could even popularize the idea of targets, since there don't seem to be other lists like that of big targets for humans to get AI to fix. Yeah, so you can help stimulate AI to produce the new discoveries that will allow us to solve these problems. So please join us, help us, and thank you very much for listening today. Yeah, that's it.